Well, after watching all of Windbreaker Season 2, my first thought is honestly this. People are tripping. I genuinely think Season 2 is better than Season 1. If I had to describe it in one sentence, it would be an elevation of everything Season 1 set up, with more depth, more character development, and still great fights. I feel like people are expecting one thing and got something slightly different, and because of that, they're saying it's worse. For me, I feel like the story is finally growing into what it's supposed to be. It's not about just throwing hands anymore. It's about what those fights actually mean. Going into Season 2, I was expecting more crazy fights and just more of what made Season 1 fun. And to be fair, it definitely delivered on that. The fights are still clean, still impactful, and still fun to watch. But what surprised me the most was the focus on Sakura and the person he's becoming. I wanted development for him, but I didn't expect it to go this deep. The way they handled his mindset and how he fights now compared to before, that completely caught me off guard, but in a good way. Sakura's growth this season is honestly one of the best parts. The first big brawl between Furin and Kyo shows it immediately. Sakura's fighting, but something feels off. He's not moving the same, he's hesitating, and he doesn't understand why. And it's because for the first time, he actually cares about the people around him. Before, he would only fight for himself or to protect in the basic sense. But now, he's thinking about his friends, his classmates, and what could happen to them. And that changes everything. It makes him hesitate, and that's something he's never dealt with before. Then, you bring in Kaiji, and I think he plays a huge role in this part of the story. At first, he was just a quiet second year, but now we really see who he is. He steps in like a big brother and helps Sakura get out of his own head. That rooftop scene is one of my favorite moments in this season, and not my favorite moment. Sakura actually asks someone for advice, which is crazy for his character, and Kaiji tells him straight up, you can't lie to yourself or others about who you are. Then he calls him out, saying you're afraid of being rejected, saying something must have happened to him before when he was younger, because the way Sakura thinks is exactly how Kaiji used to think when he was younger. That moment really exposes Sakura and pushes him towards change, not by making him weaker, but by making him more honest and vulnerable. Now, let's talk about the biggest thing that people keep on bringing up, and that's Tsubaki. When Tsubaki was first introduced at that little gathering on the rooftop, my first thought was that Sakura was going to get nervous and flustered every time they're around. And I'm right. But honestly, I liked Tsubaki's character a lot. They're confident and comfortable with who they are, and they don't care what anyone thinks. And I think it's pretty obvious why people are split on his character. But I'm gonna be real, a lot of the hate is just ridiculous. Tsubaki fits perfectly into the story. Furin High is literally a high school of outcasts, and Tsubaki is just another version of that. The only difference is that they bring femininity into a space that's very masculine, and people just can't handle that for some reason. But as a character, they're strong, respected, and they add more depth into the world. What I enjoyed the most about this season is honestly everything working together. Sakura's growth as a leader is very clear, and I was wondering if the story would really focus on that, and they did. Seeing him be vulnerable with his classmates, ask for help, and trust his classmates is something I was not expecting to happen. This show really feels like a bro love type of story, and it's nice seeing that dynamic develop. On top of that, the introduction of Tsubaki, Kaiji, and Roppu, the group that gets introduced in the second half of the season, it makes the world feel bigger. It doesn't feel like random fights anymore. It feels like everything is building to something much bigger. And the fights themselves in this season are really good. Some of the shots even make you feel like you're in a fight, which I really like. I wouldn't say this season is straight up bad, but there are a little couple things that fell off. The whole situation with Roppu fighting for Shizuka felt kind of extreme. Like sending waves of people for just one girl, it's kind of crazy. I feel like it would have been stronger if it was just protecting the group or a community instead of just one girl. Yeah, I was talking about this with my wife, and honestly, I feel it's really strange that they're just fighting for one girl, one person, but it was the president's girl of the group, so I guess I can kind of see why they would agree to doing this, but I think it could have been something else. I also would have liked to see more of the Furin guys overall, but those are small things that didn't really take away from the season for me, especially because we get that rooftop scene at the very end of the season, which introduces a lot of new things to us. I think the main reason people are saying season 2 is worse is because of the expectations and Tsubaki. People wanted season 1 again, and when they didn't get that, they immediately said it fell off. And then Tsubaki shows up, and instead of trying to understand the character, people just react. But if you actually look at what season 2 is doing, it adds more to the story. It builds the world, develops characters, and sets up what's coming next. So when people say it's worse, I honestly just think they're looking at it the wrong way. Overall, I would definitely recommend season 2, especially if you like season 1. It's for the people who want more than just fights. It's about growth, leadership, trust, and still throwing hands when it matters. And that ending, that cliffhanger was insane. Seeing how strong Endo is and then finding out that there's someone who beat Umemiya. Yeah, season 3 is about to go crazy. I didn't talk about Endo as much in this video, but I do want to mention that he is fucking scary because he was dodging the attacks of 3 people. The president of Roppu, I forgot his name, Tsubaki, and So, if that's how you pronounce his name, which is like, hold on a minute, this man is just dodging their attacks effortlessly. What does that mean about the guy who beat Umemiya? That is scary. That is very scary, especially since we saw how Endo left during the altercation and he basically just little boyed Sakura like that, and Sakura actually like fell for it, and he knew he fell for it and he was pissed at himself throughout that episode. So that kind of concerns me, and how far and how much we're gonna go in depth into this season that comes up next. If you watched the video all the way through, thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you like anime content like this. I make videos every month about this stuff. Drop some comments down below about some anime you've been watching that remind you of Windbreaker, just shows you've been watching that have caught your interest and you think I would like. I will see you next one, guys. Hope you guys have a great day. This was HR Godspeed. Peace out, everybody.